generated over $54 million for companies like L'Oreal, Uber Eats, TripAdvisor, Huawei, Maybelline. The bottleneck usually is, how do I get distribution online? And as we know today, AI can really facilitate that because it's like super precise, super fast, doesn't sleep. So like, where is AI gonna take humanity? Is it gonna take us in a direction of absolute prosperity, or is it gonna take us in a direction of absolute dependency? Can we like launch, build, distribute products like pretty much like it would be with playing a video game? Because it seems like everything.
Hello. Thank you for being here, Tom. How's it going?
Thanks, Brad, for inviting me. Everything's going well.
Absolutely. Super great to hear. I'm doing a podcast after, quite some time. So I'm very excited for this. And it's interesting times when we're connecting right now. There was a time, when scale required for business was always connected with capital, teams, permission. That time is ending, right? AI is rewriting the entire rules of leverage, and the new generation of one-person companies are being born, right? You're spearheading that. You're creating an AI product marketer. So yeah, tell us a bit about yourself, like a small introduction, and we'll get to speaking about everything.
For sure, yeah. So I'm Tom Capone. I'm founder and CEO at Lens AI. For the past 5 years, I've been running an AI marketing agency, Lens Suite, and we've generated over $54 million for companies like L'Oreal, Uber Eats, TripAdvisor, Huawei, Maybelline, Havaianas, like the list goes on. And essentially over these past 5 years, looking backwards, I almost see it as a project that helped us gather data and insights on how to run AI advertising channels, AI influencer, AI content, AI email, AI SEO, AI community marketing. And so with the agency, we were able to run a lot of these AI marketing channels for big companies. But then around a year ago, what happened is that I started receiving a lot of inquiries from really disruptive founders who are building products, in tech, in fashion, like all sorts of industries. And the problem there was really that like the bottleneck for these founders in getting their products in the hands of their consumers is the marketing piece. Like they're really good at building the products. They're usually like, if you have a software company, you're extremely good at coding. If you have fashion brands, you've got probably all the logistics sorted out, and you're probably a good designer. And so the bottleneck usually is, how do I get distribution online? And as we know today, AI can really facilitate that because it's like super precise, super fast, doesn't sleep. So if your ad dashboards for some reason go down during the night, he'll be able to fix it and optimize versions for you. So around a year ago, we started thinking of like, how do we get what we're doing at the agency in the hands of many more people, and how do we allow anyone to run marketing on AI so that they can actually get conversion sales, not simply clicks or views. That's the problem. And so that's what Lens AI is about. It's an AI product marketer that enables any product to grow from 0 to 1 million users. And it does that by simply spending tokens on AI ads, AI content, AI influencer, SEO, email, all of the marketing channels that work today. You can essentially automate them with our AI marketing agents. So that's what I'm doing currently.
Fair, super exciting. Getting into that, scaling those brands, you've scaled 200 plus brands, generated more than $54 million in revenue. During that experience, what did you essentially learn about growth and building growth for startups?
I mean, if you look at growth within companies, like, the concept there is you need to find the lowest investment, highest ROI channels available.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what you're trying to achieve is high scalability on a channel, but also you're trying to get that by reaching low customer acquisition costs. Like if you sell $100 product, you can be paying $90 for acquisition. That's kind of the deal there. You need to have something that scales very fast. So there's a lot of attention governed up in that space, and then you need to be able to effectively bring it down the funnel to your page and get them to make a purchase. It's very simple. I'd say even somewhat easy to recollect. Like it's nothing crazy, but it goes down to the fundamentals
Right.
what does AI help us do? It helps us tap into markets where there's a lot of attention gathered up in the channels that have that, and then do it more quickly so we get more volume. And by getting volume, we're able to get better economies of scale on our acquisition
Right.
costs, essentially. That's what it comes down to.
Fair, fair. And when you were running this agency in London, what were those milestones? What were those mistakes that completely reshaped your thinking and where Lancia is now currently? How did that journey happen?
Yeah, so I mean, I moved to London from Italy. I'm originally from Italy, and I went to the UK with the excuse of going to university. Then I really went there to start my two businesses, of which one is our marketing agency that we're speaking about. And so, I mean, the first thing I did there was like, and I think, by the way, this should be a playbook for anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, because I think ideally you should not think of yourself as an expert. I certainly wasn't an expert in marketing when I started, or like using online marketing. I don't think I am now. So I'm always on this learning curve. But when I first came to the UK and I set up my company, the first thing I did was like started recruiting talent, essentially our CMO at the agency that could essentially teach me everything I could know about how to do it. And so
Right.
I think we did like 500 to 100 interviews in the space of like 3 months or something, maybe less. And essentially we got to a point where we screened so many people that we sort of got to a point where we found some sort of talent. We started seeing people who had worked at large companies that we could get to and actually get them interested in the project. And so we ended up recruiting basically an ex like high-end marketing manager from Huawei, which then enabled me to learn and get connections to clients and learn basically everything that then I went on to do. And so I think this is a really good playbook for founders, which usually gets kind of undermined. Is like talent doesn't necessarily need to be like when you're starting out. It doesn't necessarily need to be like I'm delegating. It can also be I don't know, I'm giving equity of my
Right.
company away at the start to basically learn something and get a competitive advantage that no one else in the market has, because all of these highly experienced people, they'll probably be moving from corporate job to another corporate job, and the likelihood that they'll join a startup, unless there's a really driven founder with a big mission, is usually low. But if you manage to nail that, then it becomes a huge competitive advantage because no one has that in the market.
Pretty interesting. What's also very like serendipitous and interesting is I also did the same thing. I went to college, started my agency, and now I'm working on a software thing in AI. So it's funny how our worlds collide. And this idea, it's almost like becoming an apprentice of senior people, senior engineers, marketers, and you can learn from them directly and fast forward that learning curve. I think that's very brilliant. And yeah, it's underutilized, surely.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's better than doing a CS course, like a computer science course, right? Because you're having one-to-one contact with a professional who hasn't been like out of the industry for 10 years. He's actually been doing stuff until yesterday, right? And I think it's a very different kind of learning approach. And it's not like you're just learning. It's not like you're doing lessons, right? You're actually doing projects, you're on clients, you're actually finding clients, you're doing all of this stuff, and you can learn from them how to do it at a highly effective level. And so it becomes a 10x, 100x thing. Yeah.
Was there a specific moment or something where it clicked for you that agencies themselves would eventually be like disrupted by AI?
I think the first tool that entered the marketing space, which was an AI tool, was Jasper. I think it came in
Yeah.
like 2019 or something.
Yeah. Around that time, yeah.
Like that's around when I started the agency. And so then a few other tools started rolling out, and at that time I wasn't super big picture on the whole AI thing, but it started being more clear to me as I went on that if there is this kind of algorithm that can adapt around data, if the exponential curve grows, then it will eventually read data better than humans. And these marketing dashboards, you'll be able to have access to that data in real time, optimize on it, and take actions as the technology develops to be able to generate ads, which now is possible to like generate SEO blogs, emails, like all of this stuff, which is more of the generative AI layer. As it starts unfolding, then combining that with the ability to read large data sets and basically correlate those stats like the click-through rates and the conversion rates and all of these stats with the actions could eventually lead to something like an AI that generates sales online and prints users on products, essentially.
Super interesting. I remember this space itself just unfolding in front of our eyes. In my lifetime, I don't think I've seen anything like this. I don't think you have either, right? So
No.
the first tool I remember that I ever interacted with was Crayon AI, which was, I forget the actual name itself. It's OpenAI's first image model. It was the first text to image model in public. And it was just on crayon.ai. I was like, what is this? What's happening right now? And I wanted to see if I can confuse it at that time. So I wrote an orange on a blue colored wall. And so I tried to kind of trick it, but it did it perfectly well at that time. Image quality, sure, not that great, but the fact that it understood the semantic context, I was blown out. And that was around that time, 2018, I guess, that was the time. And then 2019, 2020, so many tools, the entire ecosystem blooming. I think I would want to know this from you. And I ask this question to a lot of people. What's one belief about AI or business or entrepreneurship right now that you strongly believe in, but many people disagree with?
I think it's about the end game of AI. So it's basically around the fact that, like, where is AI going to take humanity? Is it going to take us in the direction of absolute prosperity, basically making us autonomous, self-dependent, and not needing other people's money? Is it going to take us in that direction, or is it going to take us in a direction of absolute dependency and absolute reliance on other people to just make a living? Because I think at the end of the road, as we're seeing, a lot of jobs are predicted to be displaced, and the big AI leaders are saying that it could be in like 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't really matter, right? You should kind of be looking at it from a behavior perspective, like what do I do today in order to put myself in a good position in 5, 10, 15, 20 years time. And so I think for me, AI is an opportunity to democratize entrepreneurship first and foremost. And I'm also probably excited about the obviously AI for discovery, like physics or like biology and all of that stuff. But I think first and foremost, like, we have to find a way to make AI something that people can surf rather than be crashed by. And the AI wave needs to be something that pretty much everyone can surf and anyone can gain benefit from. And so the main way I think we're able to do that is entrepreneurship. Are there like a set of AI application layer companies that democratize entrepreneurship, essentially gamify it? A lot of the new generations from, I guess, millennials onwards will have probably been used to playing a lot of video games. And I think an AI entrepreneurship basically become a video game. Like, can we run businesses and can we like launch, build, distribute products like pretty much like it would be with playing a video game? Because it seems like everything is essentially shifting online. AI has a better grasp at data online than any human. And this is just an exponential curve. So I think if we've got a group, a collective of people working in that direction, then we're probably going to achieve that result, which is like to give everyone the possibility of starting businesses and move away from dependency on, whether it's the government or private companies. Like, we need to make sure we do that, because otherwise they will be unprepared for what comes, which is, again, even private companies having to lay them off. In public sector, they take slower to do things, but eventually the government's going to figure out the AI is going to run different parts of the government better than humans. And so this is kind of an unescapable, like, self-fulfilling prophecy, and we have to just face reality, get the ego out of our way, and actually look at the tools in front of us. And everyone needs to build in that direction and kind of position themselves in a good place.
Makes sense. And I almost fully resonate with you, because this thing that you mentioned, right, surfing the AI wave, it feels like everyone's getting waterboarded now with that wave. It's too overwhelming for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's where we are also trying to build. What we are trying to build is just making sure that people are learning AI implementation in the chillest way possible, not stress out about it, because it doesn't help. It's like the next thing. Like imagine if you were in the 1900s and you were stressing out every day about cars. That wouldn't help you, right? It's gonna be there. So just maybe learn it, get interested about it, and just understand it and implement it in your daily life. But yeah, this thing about the job displacement it's something that near like humanity in the recent times hasn't seen. This idea that jobs can be disrupted so much, it's already happening. Like, how are you thinking about it, this entire shift, or do you think the shock is still coming?
Yeah, so just to clarify the question, you're saying
Basically your viewpoint on how jobs will be adapted.
yeah. So I mean, what we're seeing in the AI space right now is like primarily there's startups which are coming up replacing specific job functions. So like even in Lens AI's case, we're trying to replace a product marketer. In Lovable's case, so we're trying to replace a software engineer. And I can't think name of other companies, but I'm sure there's like an AI accountant or AI finance person. There's an AI lawyer. So this is kind of, I think, the direction we're moving towards. Because if you think about it, I doubt the infrastructure companies were like, basically the open AIs, the Claudes and of the world, they will have the best user experience and the best data first and foremost, because it's a lot about the data. So like a Lovable is going to have probably much more data around like how users interact with their AI software engineer compared to a big company which does a billion other things. And so I think that's the case even for the AI finance person and AI lawyer. It's like you're simply more specialized, and these application layer companies are simply going to be more specialized and have a lot more of these granular things which a big company would probably miss. And that's going to be a lot more useful in the future, because I think it's going to be a matter of democratizing entrepreneurship through accessing all of these AI agents. Like in the future, this $1 billion company built by one person is going to be built on, let's say, 5 agents, one who does marketing, one who does engineering, one who does legal stuff, one who does finance stuff. And that's kind of what you want to do, because all these AI companies would probably have built the best data. They'll have the best case studies on achieving the result that you want to achieve for your company. And so I think that's where the AI companies should be headed to.
And makes sense. An analogy that I always think of is the OpenAI, the Claude, the Anthropic rather. All these big companies are probably building the Java or the C++ or the Pythons of the world. And then others figure out coding, and then we create apps. And of course, the next generation, how will that look like? Honestly, I don't know. Majorly, I can say almost nobody knows, which is a bit comforting, but at the same time a bit scary that nobody knows. But yeah, you're right. It's heading in that direction itself, and we all have to kind of now upscale, understand, and accept it. And in terms of this, one of the questions we would love to speak about both, because we're both very young. We just left university or college, right? What do you think of this traditional path now? This high school, college, job, career, is this fundamentally broken at this point?
I mean, at this point, it's pretty irreversible, right? You can go there for social purposes, like you can go there to meet people, which helps. But in the case of private universities where you're paying tons of money, like I don't know if it's worth it anymore. It's like if you have the luxury to pay, I don't know, 20,000 a year, 50, 100,000 sometimes in the US, and you have that luxury to just use it to meet some people. Can you not just go to a nightclub or
events?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So I think honestly, there's still some value in it, probably if you're in really technical, like extremely technical areas.
Like physics maybe, or like core medicine, for example.
Medicine would be one. But I mean, ultimately, if you're planning your career over the next 20, 30, 40 years, then like, is there any point? I mean, I guess you could draw some insights if you were in medicine and you'd go through the academic route. You could draw some insights to start a company. But I think the thing for me is like, you have to be in a mindset where you will not be employed by someone. Like whether that's public or private, I don't care. It's like you have to be in a mindset where you're on an exploration path to basically search problems and ideas that you're obsessed about and passionate about. Then you're going to go and implement into a solution that's going to drive us forwards into the future. But you're going to do it yourself. It's not someone else who's bringing you on and you're doing a little bit of the pie. It has to be you, and you have to plan for that, essentially.
If you have to give some specific pointers to such young listeners, like about the rise of this operator economy, right? So how would you kind of advise them on this? What does being an operator actually mean in this era?
Yeah, so I think today we're much like business owners. I mean, within startups are operators to begin with. I think with AI, it becomes a game of figuring out where you can de-operationalize yourself in. What can you systemize with AI? So I think that's the core bit. Ultimately, if there's one message to founders that I have, is like the most AI integrated founder is gonna win against the the less AI integrated founder. So if you're in the same product, same industry, like one founder is choosing to integrate AI into 99% of all operations, and another founder is just doing 10%, then over a long enough time horizon, speed is going to be the determining factor. So it doesn't matter how innovative your product is. It doesn't matter how mind-boggling your marketing is, like what channel you've cracked. It doesn't really matter, because the AI is going to essentially self-adapt around that. And with a long enough time horizon, if you have more AI, you're going to figure it out and essentially surpass all of your competitors. So that would be my core advice: is go AI first and become a strategic owner instead of being an operator. Honestly, I would that would be my first advice. That probably wouldn't have been a few years back, but as things stand today, you have to really think of how can I get 99% of my company on it if you're starting a company.
Fair. Now we're getting into the deep end of this conversation, where I would want to know more about Lens. Let's say if I am a solo founder starting from zero today, how will Lens AI help me out? In what ways will Lens AI help me out?
So the way we've designed Lens is to have two agents on our platform. The first one is an AI strategy agent. So what you'll do is essentially gather as much information around your product, your brand, your timelines, your budget, and your goal, like how much revenue, how many users you want to hit within these timelines and budget. And you can simply speak to it for like 5 minutes. It's also got speech mode, so that's super simple. He'll be asking the questions, and then at the end of this, you'll be able to generate a strategy for you. So this is a classic marketing strategy document that you would usually pay a consultant maybe like a few $100, sometimes a few $1,000 to wait a few weeks, or sometimes a few months, and you get it in under 5 minutes at a fraction of the cost. And so it's a really good thing to have an AI strategy agent, a model which is trained on over 10,000 case studies from 2x, 50x return on investment within 3 to 6 months, to basically analyze your specific case and then tell you, hey, this is where you can go because I'm drawing this data from other products and in your same exact position, right? So once you have that strategy, though, the big blocker for most founders is like you have a strategy, an action plan to move forwards and build your distribution channels for your business, but then how do we implement it? You have to hire an agency, hire a team, a bunch of freelancers. That usually doesn't tend to go right, if I hear most founder stories. And even if you can generate a strategy on ChatGPT today, but then what do you do after that? So what happens when you get your strategy from the AI strategy agent? Then you can click a button and he'll pass it over to our AI execution agent. It gets converted into essentially tasks which you can spend tokens on. So you can spend tokens on a specific task. You'll be able to queue it, just like a Spotify style queue. And then once it's queued, it will automatically go to execution. So the execution agent could be scraping competitor ads. And then once he does that, then he'll be able to have all the market research or, find keywords or whatever. And then he'll be able to generate the ads. And then once he generates it, he can list it and publish it on Meta ads or Google ads, whatever the platform is, and then right after that he'll be able to launch it and then start optimizing. For example, ad 1 and 2 are high performing, ad 3, 4 and 5 are we're losing money on, so let's reallocate budget on the winning ones. And
Right.
so this is like the full stack marketing approach that our AI agents can take. And the important thing to know is that they're never going to be optimized to generate views or clicks. They're always optimized to generate conversions and sales. So it's very important that AI agents have a North Star when doing stuff, because I see a lot of AI tools, which are AI content tools or whatever, and they can generate a lot of content at a high volume, at a low cost, but ultimately that still doesn't solve the problem for founders, which is generating sales online and getting users on their products.
Yeah, fair. Makes sense. Makes sense. And I mean, it's kind of the future. But from your positioning standpoint, this is very interesting that you say you focus on strivers and underdogs, right? Instead of like well-funded startups with massive teams. Why is that?
I think as a baseline, there's a lot of founders, a lot of inventors. I mean, if we just look at the past, the inventors of really cool technologies were always never really great distributors of their products. They almost didn't know they had a product. And so we have to figure out a way to allow them, enable them, empower them to get crazy technologies in the hands of millions of consumers and even more. And so we need to be able to do that, or won't see technological change. Like I really believe that if you go back and look at the last 40 years, if not more, we have actually been very stagnant in terms of technological progress. Like internet aside, AI aside right now, there hasn't been much going on, right? Like the science fiction we dreamt about never came into place, because I think a lot of these inventors were discouraged away from these projects because they didn't figure out distribution. And so it's important that with AI now we're able to democratize the ability to distribute really disruptive products to the masses, and we can all benefit from that in the new exciting future.
It's an exciting future for sure, because I think one of the biggest challenges with almost every founder is the marketing aspect, because that's like the deep end. That's like the open rainforest. You have to go explore it, understand it, and somehow make it work. So yeah, that makes sense. In terms of this context, if you were to kind of tell me fast forward 5 years, what does a one person agent first company really look like from a day-to-day perspective?
Yeah, I think it would probably be structured. As I mentioned before in this podcast, there's going to be a lot of AI agents going around. We've seen a Claude bot or OpenClaw, the open source project that was released not so long ago. And I think that was a hint at what AI agents have the capability to do and will be able to do, and what the agentic era actually looks like. AI agents not being simply chatbots, but actually going out there into the world and doing real life tasks which have a productive value and more so a monetary value attached to it. So I think it will pretty much look like a lot of these OpenClaw agents, but verticalized on a specific job role function. And there'll be a lot of those. And ultimately, the role of this one person running the business will be to be very good at designing systems and strategy, honestly. And with that being said, I think what founders should cultivate more and more is, researching skills, critical thinking, first principles thinking, being able to design things from the ground up, observe other industries, find insights in other strategies deployed by other companies in totally different spaces. I think all of this stuff is going to be useful because a lot of the work is going to be strategizing, and the agents are going to be so good. You can give them a credit card and you can give them a really good strategy, which is really nitty gritty in the details, and then they'll know what to do. They'll optimize around it. They'll provide solutions off the back of that. So yeah, you need to be able to create the right data structure to begin with. The way I see it is being able to design really effective systems.
Yeah, the Claudebot or the Mold Claw, whatever the name. I think they went through like 2-3 name changes already. But yeah, that was like a moment in the tech industry. And we were listening, I think it was around 2022 when people started talking about large action models and all those things coming up. So yeah, I'm sure this is the future. But be honest with me, moving forward from 2026, do you believe distribution becomes more important than like product quality or something?
The direction we're going into seems like AI coding is like the first big use case. Like you can click a button and you can generate software and you can sell that software. And we've seen this over and over again. There's people like making tons of money with AI generated
Or at
software,
least they're saying so.
or at least they're saying so. And I have a couple of friends who
Yeah.
have done well. But basically, I think that's going to extend into robotics. Robotics is going to be able to manufacture and design physical products, and that's where we're going next. And that's probably the next step in democratizing entrepreneurship even further from an AI product creation or AI product development standpoint. Distribution still remains a bottleneck. Like if you have developing products down to a science, and you can design systems to get the AI models to learn how to replicate it over and over again and improve on it. I think distribution is a bit different in that way because you have humans involved in it. And so our big advertising platforms like Google, Meta, TikTok, they keep changing algorithms time and time again. And so you have to, I think there's a lot to say about predictive learning, and AI will need to be able to do that. I think there's something really cool that X has done. So Elon has released basically the open source. He open sourced the X for you feed algorithm.
Yeah.
So I think that these type of moves could be kind of empowering entrepreneurs in the direction of leveraging AI to figure out distribution. But it still remains an incredibly difficult piece, and one that is not so clear to me how we solve for good. I think the main thing we need to have is someone who acts as a forcing function for developing all the best data around how to use these platforms to our advantage to gather attention and convert that into actual sales and users for products. So that seems to me like the best solution we can.
Perfect. And towards the end, kind of the final question, which is, what does winning mean to you compared to like 5 years ago? Moving forward, what does winning look like to you at Lens and you personally?
I think Lens has a mission of empowering as many founders to grow products from 0 to 1 million users. So I think some of the metrics we're measuring here are how many products can we get from 0 to 100 users, how many products can we get from 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 100,000, etc. So I think this seems to be like a very good metric for determining how much impact we're having on GDP as we grow, and how much impact we're having also on current business owners and founders integrating AI, going back to the AI integration thing I said before. And then the second metric that's really important to me is how many founders who weren't founders before, who are just simply everyday people, are getting into entrepreneurship because AI marketing, AI distribution is being democratized. And so this is probably something that we're aiming for more in the medium to long term, because it is not so easy to shift culture compared to just placing a product in front of someone and telling them this is a better marketing tool than this other one. And so, but that's, I think, where the end game is ultimately. If we want to make people more autonomous, dependent, and not have to rely on universal basic income or something of that sort, we want to make sure that we track that metric, and we want to make sure we see how much we're contributing in that direction. I know like all the AI coding tools out there, like the Lovables, the Replits, are also tracking that. They're also tracking how many everyday normal people start building and become entrepreneurs because of using those tools. And I think we should be doing that in the same way they're doing.
Superb wrap up to the podcast. Lovely having this conversation, and yeah, looking forward to much more. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, bro.
Amazing.